A resourceful flight attendant who smuggles money for an illegal arms dealer is arrested and forced to cooperate with the feds. So she comes up with a risky plan to set herself up for life in Rum Punch, the 30th fiction novel from author Elmore Leonard, along with its 1997 film adaptation, the third film from writer-director Quentin Tarantino, Jackie Brown. Welcome to Crime Novels to Film. I'm Jeffrey A. Cooper. Crime Novels to Film is the show that takes on the book version versus the movie version debate to see which one did it better. Who am I? I'm a crime fiction writer. But more important, I'm a crime fiction reader. And I love when my favorite crime fiction books are made into movies and TV shows. I've discovered a lot of great books because of the movies, and I've seen a lot of great movies because of the book. Crime Novels to Film highlights a different crime novel and its live-action adaptation in each episode, and at the end, I'll tell you which one I think did it better. This is not a ranking. I am by no means a film or literary expert. If I debate you, I will probably lose. I'm just a guy who reads a lot of crime books, watches a lot of crime movies, and I sure do love to hear myself talk. This is only my personal opinion. That and $1 will get you $1. If you like what you see, please hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to this channel. I've got a bunch of great books and movies to go through, so we're going to have a lot of fun. I want to hear what you have to say about these books and their movie adaptations as well, so let me know what you think about them in the comments. I could do a whole series of crime novels to film just on the works of author Elmore Leonard. In fact, he was the first author I thought of when I considered doing this show. Hollywood started adapting Elmore's Western novels like 3:10 to Yuma with Glenn Ford and Van Heflin in the 1950s, then continued with films like Hombre starring Paul Newman in the 1960s. When Elmore transitioned to crime fiction writing, Hollywood went right along with him. To date, there's been nearly 30 different adaptations of Elmore Leonard's novels. Today, I'm talking about one of my favorites, the 1992 novel Rum Punch, originally published by Delacorte Press, and its excellent 1997 film adaptation, Jackie Brown, from writer-director Quentin Tarantino. Rum Punch is set in Miami and tells the story of Jackie Burke, a flight attendant in her mid-40s, who makes lousy money working for a bottom-rung airline. To supplement her income, Jackie smuggles cash into the country for a small-time weapons dealer named Ordell Robbie. Ordell's a bad dude who has caught the attention of the feds, and they're eager to put Ordell in jail. The feds arrest Jackie as she's coming off an international flight. In addition to the cash, they also find a sizable amount of cocaine that's been planted on her, an unexpected gift for Ordell's girlfriend, Melanie. Jackie's in a tough spot. The feds threaten her with prison, the loss of her job, and the idea of having to start all over again to coerce Jackie into being the bait in their plan to arrest Ordell. On the other hand, Jackie knows Ordell has no patience for people he suspects of cutting a deal with the cops. She's in a no-win situation, so Jackie comes up with a plan that will not only save her life, but will secure her financial future. Jackie can't pull the plan off alone, so she asks for help from the only person who will help her, Max Cherry, the ex-cop bail bondsman hired by Ordell to get Jackie out of jail. But Max isn't just helping Jackie for the money. Max is looking for a change himself, and he plays a central role in Jackie's plan to take her life back. To the surprise of no one who's ever read Elmore Leonard, the payoff is clever and well plotted. The culmination of Jackie's plan is tense, exciting, risky, and dangerous. Elmore brings it all together here, laying out everything that has to go right in order for this plan to work. Then he puts it all together like an expert craftsman. It's masterful story construction. He makes it look so easy. Let me tell you, what Elmore Leonard did was not easy. As he wrote in his 2007 book, Elmore Leonard's 10 Rules of Writing, I try to leave out the parts readers tend to skip. This wasn't a guy who spent 3 pages writing about the curtains. His phrasing is colorful, descriptive, and very funny, but his prose stays economical and tight as a drum. The man had an ear as great as his pen. Take this exchange with Jackie and Max, which is about halfway through the book, where Jackie talks about her ex-husbands. It sums up 20+ years of Jackie's life in less than a paragraph. They were nice guys, really, most of the time, and yet I wasn't surprised. You know what I mean? My big mistake, I let myself get into situations I know can be trouble, my eyes wide open, and then have to figure a way out. She paused, stubbing her cigarette in the ashtray. But you know what I'm more tired of than anything? Tell me, Max said. Smiling, acting pleasant. Elmore Leonard's dialogue was some of the smartest and snappiest in the game. His language is unpretentious, easy to follow, and really defines the characters. Take this conversation between Jackie and federal agent Ray Nicolette, where Jackie's past trouble with the law is brought up in order to get her cooperation. "I entered a plea," Jackie said. "You mean they offered you a deal and you grabbed it. A year's probation and your hubby drew 5 to 10. He must be out by now." "I think so," Jackie said. "That's right, you got a divorce. You're remarried. What about your present husband?" "He died last year." "You go through him," Nicolette said. "What kind of work did he do?" "He drank," Jackie said. It's been 30 years since I first read Rum Punch, and I have to say, Jackie's journey seemed a lot more important to me this time around. Her situation felt very real to me, and very relevant. Jackie is in her mid-40s, and she's made mistakes in her life. The things that are important to her now aren't the same things that were important to her 20 years ago. Jackie isn't looking to take over the world anymore. She's only looking to survive it. Jackie fears economic insecurity, and is trying to sock away enough money to retire. That's a very real concern these days, especially with the rising costs of healthcare. You couple that with having to start over from nothing after a late-in-life divorce, and it just might be enough to convince a reasonable person to do something completely unreasonable. Rum Punch is 30-plus years old, but those themes and fears are as timely now as when it was first written. Okay, so here's an interesting note about a couple of the supporting characters. I don't know if you know this, I didn't know this, but then I saw it on the internet, so that means it has to be true. This was actually the second appearance in print for the characters Ordell Robbie, Louis Gara, and Melanie Ralston, who all first appeared in Leonard's 1978 novel The Switch, which was later adapted into the 2013 movie Life of Crime, starring Jennifer Aniston, Yazine Bey, John Hawkes, Isla Fisher, and Will Forte. To be honest, I haven't read The Switch and I haven't seen Life of Crime, but discovering art that you haven't experienced before is sort of the point of all this. Elmore Leonard didn't write about nice people. His characters are thieves, murderers, gun runners, liars, and cheaters, but at the same time, he was able to make me like and sympathize with these people and where they are in their lives. Don't get me wrong, if I had people like this in my real life, I couldn't get away from them fast enough. It takes a great author to get characters like that over with an audience. So if a great work like Rum Punch is being adapted for the movies, you should put it in the hands of a great writer and director, which is exactly what they did with Quentin Tarantino's 1997 adaptation, Jackie Brown. The film was released by Miramax Films in 1997, coming on the heels of Tarantino's Academy Award-winning Pulp Fiction in 1994. To date, Jackie Brown remains the only film that Quentin Tarantino has directed that was based on pre-existing material. Tarantino was apparently hesitant about showing Elmore Leonard the changes that he'd made to Rum Punch, thinking that the author would hate what he'd done. He only showed the screenplay to Leonard just before filming began. Tarantino didn't have to worry. Elmore loved the screenplay that Tarantino produced. He considered it the best of all the adaptations of his work, and possibly was the best screenplay he'd ever read. Heady praise indeed. Tarantino made some obvious changes to the book, changing the location from Miami to Los Angeles, and turning the white Jackie Burke into the black Jackie Brown. But the truth is, he didn't change much. Minor characters like the neo-Nazi Gerald, Renee, Max Cherry's ex-wife, and Ordell's associates Cedric Walker and Cujo were cut out. They filled out an already rich assortment of characters in Rum Punch, but they had no real bearing on the story in Jackie Brown. Aside from that, the plot and storyline are nearly identical to the book. While there are still noticeable Tarantino touches like the Chicks Who Love Guns segment that Ordell and Louis Gara watch at the start of the film, there's very little of what was considered Tarantino's trademark violence. And that cast. I'm a huge fan of the casting in Jackie Brown, which incidentally was cast by a woman named Jackie Brown. That's Jackie like a J-A-K-I. Robin Mitchell was the other credited casting director, but that might never come up as a trivia question. Rumor was that Tarantino wanted to work with actress Pam Grier after Grier tested for the role in Pulp Fiction that eventually went to Rosanna Arquette, and that he changed the last name to Brown as a nod to one of Pam Grier's most famous roles, the the 1970s blaxploitation icon Foxy Brown. Another story says that it was Tarantino's homage to a character in Peter Yates' 1973 film, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, starring Robert Mitchum. Is any of that true? I have no idea. The list of actors Tarantino reportedly considered to play Max Cherry included Paul Newman, Gene Hackman, John Saxon, and his eventual choice Robert Forrester. But by all accounts, Pam Grier was the director's only choice for Jackie. Pam Grier and Robert Forrester were the perfect on-screen embodiments of Jackie and Max. They have a great chemistry. Their midlife romance angle is sweet, genuine, and ends just like it should. Samuel L. Jackson brings a dangerous menace to the scheming, murderous Ordell Robbie. Bridget Fonda plays up Melanie's deadly attraction to dangerous men right to the end, while Michael Keaton's FBI agent Ray Nicolette doesn't have time for any of your BS. If I had any criticism for Jackie Brown, I'd say that Robert De Niro was mildly underused in the role of Louis Gara. The character was understandably more fleshed out in the book, but there's a lot of time in the movie where I thought De Niro looked bored, like your star player sitting on the bench. Part of that is the character, to be sure. Louis is a low-energy guy. He smokes pot, he mumbles a lot, and he sleeps with Bridget Fonda's Melanie before she gets on his nerves, which is a really bad idea. De Niro has done a lot more with a lot less, but for me, I suppose I just wanted or maybe expected more from a De Niro role in a Tarantino film. I think this might have been a tough film for Tarantino when it first came out, as far as public perception and expectations were concerned. After Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, there were a lot of expectations for what a Tarantino movie could and should be. Jackie Brown goes at a much more leisurely pace than these previous two films, and that took a lot of people by surprise. They didn't know what to do with a Tarantino movie that took its time. What did you think about Jackie Brown the first time you saw it? Did it surprise you? Let me know in the comments. For me, the film gets better each time I watch it. Of all of Tarantino's movies that have gotten Academy Award nominations, Jackie Brown was the only film that didn't win anything. You ask me, they were robbed. I think this film's terrific, and I'm not alone. Critical reception was and continues to be very favorable. Jackie Brown maintains critics and audience scores of 87 and 85% fresh according to RottenTomatoes.com, with over 100,000 people contributing to the audience score. Jackie Brown might not be the first movie you think of when you consider the career of Quentin Tarantino, but it remains a solid effort that expanded Tarantino's range as a director, and in my opinion, is one of the best adaptations of Elmore Leonard's work. Elmore Leonard passed away at age 87 on August 20th, 2013. He was one of the most celebrated and well-regarded fiction authors of our time. Leonard won the Edgar Award for Best Mystery Novel in 1984 and was awarded the Grand Master Award for Lifetime Achievement from the Mystery Writers of America in 1992. He was a 2008 F. Scott Fitzgerald Literary Award winner for Outstanding Achievement in American Literature and won the National Book Award Medal for Distinguished Contribution in 2012. If you've never seen the FX show Justified, which won the Peabody Award in 2012, you should check that out too. I'll be honest, I'm going to run into this dilemma often. In the case of Rum Punch and Jackie Brown, the book made me want to see the movie, and the movie made me want to read the book again. I think this is a great story, told from the perspectives of two master storytellers. Let me put it to you this way. If you like the book, you're going to like the movie. And if you like the movie, you're going to like the book. If you haven't experienced any of them, you're in for a treat. So which one did I like better? I'm giving this one to Quentin Tarantino. Don't get me wrong. Rum Punch is every bit the book I said it was, but it's the only piece of work that ever made Quentin Tarantino stop being Quentin Tarantino, if only for a little bit. Your winner this week, the movie. Well, what do you think? Did I get it right? Did I get it wrong? What did I miss? Let me know in the comments. Rum Punch is easily found through any of the brick and mortar, independent, and online booksellers that you already support. Rum Punch is readily available at your local public library, so please support your local public library wherever you are, because they need your support, especially these days. Rum Punch is also available on digital and in the Amazon Audible exclusive narrated by Jeff Harding. Blu-ray and DVD versions of Jackie Brown are available for a pretty reasonable price wherever you buy your DVDs. It's currently available to rent or buy through both Amazon Prime Video and iTunes, and it currently streams on HBO Max. Lionsgate picked up distribution rights to Jackie Brown and is planning on releasing a new 4K Ultra HD version sometime later this year. I'll put links to all of these in the description. Now remember, don't just see the movie, read the book. And don't just read the book, see the movie. Thanks for hanging out with me, gang. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you watching. I'll be back on the next edition of Crime Novels to Film.